Call this meeting. Please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone see a need to amend the agenda?
Maybe the only conflict is the extra item that was added this morning.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to send Louise an email about the last mayoral appointment, so she added that to the end of new business.
So the agenda is correct as of the second emailing about leaving today, whatever it was. Just again, so nobody knows.
Would like to approve it?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. It's been moved by Councilmember Renard, seconded by Council President Hanson to approve the agenda as printed. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. All right, consent agenda. Louise, I just noticed a couple names that need to be corrected. Okay. On the mayoral appointments.
Okay.
Darren is Darin. And Anthony doesn't have an E in his first name. It's that. It's okay. I didn't catch Darren the first time.
We also need to note that she made changes today with some comments, or not comments, but what was it? Tyler, that's me talking about this one. At the end of that.
Yes. It's been corrected to show that Councilman Renard was absent the last meeting. And then the last minute water sewer termination extension.
Gotcha. And it's just the one, right? Yeah.
I would recommend that you temper the motion by saying approve this consent agenda with changes made to the minutes as discussed.
All right, Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda with the minutes being discussed with what we said about the changes.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Renard, second by Councilmember Allen to approve the consent agenda with changes to minutes as discussed. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Jeannie, that's it. If you want to stay, you can. If you want to go. All right, we have passed your C&D. Thank you for being here. Okay, painless, right? Okay, anybody for public comment?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay, unfinished business. Agreements between the city of Ellsworth and Ellsworth District Number 1 and Fire District Number 2.
Madam Mayor and council members, as you know, we talked about this last meeting, and I said that we had a meeting with the fire districts about a month ago, and and I think, everybody knows that they're behind what they're paying, except why didn't the city for 40 years not say anything? And then I get that, and then nothing we can do about it, we can't change that. I had some discussion last time, but since that meeting, I put a lot more information up, and I'm going to share it with the districts tomorrow night. But I thought I'll share it with you first, that way you see what I have here. So again, the agreement was, you've seen those before, back in 1986. They said both groups were approved for District 1, which is Ellsworth Township, paying $10,000 a year. The other agreement was four, and it's changed over the years, but they paid $2,500 a year. So a total of $22,500 for the two districts. Okay. The first thing that was in your packet, on my notes, is the fire rents for the month of April. Other than an assist for helicopter standby at the hospitals, every other run was outside the city limits. And so just look at those numbers and the data that. A couple weeks ago, when I was practicing at a track meet or something, I got to thinking we just paid the liability insurances for the city for the year. was here last couple weeks ago on our insurance stuff. And I thought, okay, what? And I know we have a lot of vehicles over there, and I think was even mentioned this meeting, there's some vehicles over there that are used only for rural only. So I had Angela go through, and it's in your packet, all the vehicles that are insured by the city. And then Chief DeBravo went ahead and went through there and identified those that are strictly rural only, somewhat joint, city only, of course, the area will be city, and then admin vehicles and command vehicles, basically. If you go through the vehicles owned, and our total insurance bill for this year, again, she pulled up some liability else, is a little bit over $29,000. The vehicles alone, are $9,800. If you pull out the rural ones only, the liability issues, they're not full coverage, liability. For the rural vehicles, $6,000 basically. So strap that fact down, give part of the, the shared vehicles, because some of the trucks that are used in town are also used in the country. There's obviously admin costs, liabilities, insurance, and take whatever percentage you want. But the 22.5 the city gets now doesn't leave a whole lot of over after insurance, okay? And again, I have not pulled this out. I think there's always speculation to be made that a rural fire is more expensive as far as fuel, because of travel time and everything else, travel and fuel and the vehicles and stuff like that. I'm not saying you can have one in town, but you're not spending many vehicles usually, and it's just the distance and everything else. But I thought I'd pull that out there. I then reached out to Hoisington, because I managed Hoisington for 9 years in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and at that time, I believe we contracted to, I want to say 4 townships, and at that time, they were paying $32,000 for all 4 townships 20 years ago. Well, since that time, I called Jonathan, that Chris Johnson used to manage here one time. They have now flipped to a fire district. So the city of Hoisington, and now they've added 3 other cities, again, they're small, Sault-Ste., Malaysia, and Olmsted, we're talking small cities. And then he thinks there's 7 or 8 townships now have formed a fire district. So it's no longer Hoisington Police and Fire Department, it's the Hoisington Fire District. They spread the mill levy equally across all the taxing base in that area. So they're levying 2.369 mills this year, in the 2025 valuations. The city does rent them the fire station, and it's a small, it's not like what we have here as far as their own buildings. They lease the fire station at $1 a year right now. They do believe at some point in time, the fire district will build their own station, but they haven't yet. Let's say it's for $1. And there's a fairness, because everybody says, well, townships pay more, they should get a thought, they should get a seat at the table. In District 1 down there, they pay every township in every city, regardless if it's Sault-Ste. With 30 people or Hoisington with 2,500 people, they get 1 vote. So there's like 11, 12 votes on the board, and equal votes, that way everybody's represented. When you take a look at the taxes in the county, tax base in the county, at the 2.39 mills, extrapolate back out, right now, the city of Hoisington property tax payers are paying 40% of the fire district costs. 60% are paid by the other cities in the townships. Okay. Jonathan also told me that Claflin had a similar agreement where Claflin doesn't have a fire department anymore. They have District 1 over there. And I looked there, and of course, there they have 3.54 mills. And it's a city it's just Claflin's only city, I believe, that a bunch of townships. And Claflin is only paying 21% of the cost, the taxpayers of Claflin, the rest paid by the district. Now, as I put in my note there, just realize that I understand this too. Property valuations in a rural area in Martin County are different than here. oil wells make a big difference, and I understand that, and so, but yeah, like in case of Hoyesden, it's shared by, it's, instead of 60-40, 60 city, it's 40 city, it's 16 the rural area. Yeah. Just thought, so then I reached out, again, these are my past experience, I reached out to the Neodesha, where I managed for 4 years, and I know I thought we did 2 towns, we only did 1 township there. And they've had the same agreement in place since '94, but it's been 2 mills the whole time. As the mill levy increased, the valuations increased, they stayed with the 2 mills, okay? Our districts are, Ellsworth 1 is 1.392 right now, and Ellsworth 2 is 0.931. So again, double to almost triple, in the other shade. I then reached out to the city of Wilson. The city of Wilson provides fire, and they don't have a fire district. They, from what I understand from the clerk, they bill all 3 of the townships. Noble, Wilson, and Columbia, 2 mills. If you look at what they received in the last year, Wilson Township pays $13,451, Columbia Township pays $4,600, Noble Township $4,300. So they have basically half the amount of townships and get the same money we get. So the cities elsewhere there. I reached out to Hollywood then, and in your packet, I made a mistake. I put Canopus, it should be Hollywood, that line. And they serve Pulaski, Valley, and Green Garden Township, the fire chief there, City County Bowling. And each township, I think he's on the phone, he says, well, Alan, we charge each township $3,750. Then he said per quarter. So each township down there is paying $15,000. So a total of $45,000 for 3 townships, The one thing I didn't say before, the difference between the Hoyesden Department, Part 2 now, and us is we have substantially more vehicles. I know Hollywood has a number of vehicles, they probably have 9 or 10 vehicles they talked about, but they got a lot of vehicles too. So I then pulled out the tax sheets, the levies for this county, and if you look at the page here, I have the mill levies for all the fire districts in the county. Ellsworth 1, Ellsworth 4. Empire is probably the cheapest one, they're 0.777 mils. But Beverly Township, whoever's served by the Beverly Fire District is 3.129 mils. McPherson is 7.853 mils. Rice is 1.736. Hedgesville is 5.4. So those are the different mill levies out there. If you look back at the agreements, which you've seen before, the Ellsworth 1 agreement actually, in my mind, if you read it, anticipated. Because the original agreement says Ellsworth Fire District 1 will pay 5 mills or $10,000, whatever is less. I got a feeling, and I have not been able to go back and look at it, I haven't taken the time to go back and look at what the valuation of that township was back then. But they probably placed close to 5 mills, And I think if you look, the 5 mills is not, right now, we're operating. Fire department, we have 165 to 180 budgeted. We can argue all that long, probably need more money in the budget. But with the 22.5 coming off, the taxpayers inside the city of Ellsworth are paying 7 to 8 mills taxes. Whereas the districts are paying less. Another thing we got that I don't know how, and maybe the chief can help a little bit on this one here too, is we do rescue, and we probably go outside of the city or even one of the 2 districts at a time. And again, I have no problem with it. I think nobody in town has a problem with it. But when do you put the costs? When do you quit making the taxpayer? And there's some things that I will talk when Ron's not here, but some of the costs that we have just to run city government. Why should the taxpayers of the city pay for all the fire? And then have other costs that are in the budget and raise the taxes here. And I think that's where it rolls down to. I always said the agreements made in '86 were great agreements. But they probably should have been visited at least 4 times, if not more, since then. So meanwhile, I report next meeting. Somebody says, why are you bringing them down? Well, I feel as when I see a problem and I've heard about it in the office that says we don't get enough, I've heard even here. Well, and everyone says, well, you stick it out for the city. Well, I'm an old cowboy that believes you right for the brand. And right now my brand says City of Ellsworth on it. And that's what I look out for in taxpayers of Ellsworth.
And so do all the trucks that say City of Ellsworth.
They always say Ellsworth.
Yeah.
And again, I just looked at,
Do
I
some-
just looked only at the that one sheet, looked at the liability because we just did that. I have not gone back and pulled out the other costs or fuel costs, try to add, do all that. 22.5 for that big of an area is not enough. Now, will some of the districts want to go elsewhere? Townships, I hear they might. They may want to go to the Wilson one, which, I think that's called the Empire Fire District, if I remember right. And, they have a contract with the city of Wilson. I have no idea. As long as I'm in this role, I have to worry about taxpayers and the budget for this city, not anyone else's. And I know it's gonna be a jump for some of them. It has to be, I'll report after I meet tomorrow night if they have any ideas or thoughts. The one, when I met last time, I get beat up most for, well, why didn't you ask before? I wasn't here before, and none of you were here, a lot of you weren't here, so, everyone says, well, can you wait? Well,
Then we'll never do.
you've waited 40
It'll
years.
never happen.
Do you want to wait 50 years? Do you want to wait 60 years? I don't know what the magic is. I just think it has to be done. There's good enough data here. Anybody needs more data, I can sure give it to them.
And I think they all know they're paying not enough.
Right.
Have to.
Oh, they do.
Come on.
Then get mad about it, like.
Man, I always say,
Look at the roads.
I always say on
They don't
taxes,
do anything. There's not much going on in the city.
and I asked Ralph, because I was, when I first was,
It's interstate.
why did we make assist for helicopter coming to the hospital? And there's a history behind it, and that made sense to me, and again, I don't think that's a problem. I mean, if doctors going to your granted up there, and it's for our safety, or it helps to get you as a patient out of the hospital. I don't know if it's not a big enough deal for me to be excited about that. Because
That's at least, I don't know.
you might be saying that, I think I get the concern about the people living on the interstate, the townships up there, the extra cost of access. I don't know who pays for it, but does only the city have to pay for it's probably the question. Or pay the lion's share of it. And you can argue who benefits more, and of course, should you charge for those? I don't know how you do that. I can't find any city or county that does it. I know when I was in Hawaii, the one township, when we used to do it for townships, one township wanted to bill insurance companies, and I said, you have to do it. Of course, our agreement township said we can't bill either. And again, it's 40-year-old agreement, but we need to move on to budget wise, but also, if you want to change something, our drop dead date is basically mid-September to give a 90-day notice. I want to get to that point. I hope we can come back with something a lot sooner. That's workable, but they're in the middle of the budget also. How will it affect their budgets? I'm concerned about that because stuff will all have to have R&R hearings. Because they'll exceed their budget of the year before.
Mr. Denver,
Yeah,
I won't pretend to understand all the mills. But looking at, the information that you documented, Ellsworth County 1.392 mills, Empire 0.777 mills. So given those mills, will the rate increase be commensurate to the mills, or will it be above that?
don't know. And again, don't let mill levy drive you. I mean, mill levy, because I'll use the Barton County examples with the Claflin, the District 1, Barton 1 and Barton 2. I'll use those because the valuation of that county is totally different than the majority of this county. Because if you have any oil, it's down that end of the county for the most part. And I believe the Bushton plant is in this county, right?
Yeah.
Part of it is. So, because that township is the richest township in the county, Green Garden is. And so I'm guessing that, I didn't confirm that. Bill levy is, you know, mill levy is weird, because like I said, you got the assessments in there too, you got that in there. But I can understand the mill levy. Because if your house is valued at this amount of money and it's so much mills times that, that's what you pay, you know. Farm area is taxed differently than residential, so if I live in the country, my house is assessed just like any of your houses are here in town. But your farm land is assessed differently than a business here in town. Because here in town, a business is assessed at 25%. Your real estate's at 11.5%, but the rural area, the farm is based on use value. So that tends to go up and down, and you know, on my personal basis, if I farm in Ellis County, my taxes have actually gone down the last couple of years because prices trended this way a little bit of grain prices, and there's some rolling averages and stuff like that. And the cattle for the people with grass, the cattle price hasn't moved it up enough yet. But you gotta realize in farmland, an acre here can grow 40 to 70 bushels of wheat or that much per mile. But to run a cow calf here, it may take 8 acres. So you look cow calf, you know, maybe profit $1,500 per calf this year, but it took you 8 acres to get there. Whereas 50 bushel of wheat at even the price now is $250. So, you know, there's all those things in there. I just put this together. I wanted to share it with you. I share it tomorrow night, so you won't hear any rumors out there that I'm pulling crap and stuff like that.
So if I recall, last meeting, we talked about this. We said Joe Dolan talked about 20% increase next year.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's what we.
I really think, again, this was just my reach now, to move in there is to maybe up to 5 or 6 years of 20% increases. So they may be better off, but then, you know, they're gonna have to worry about tax lists and everything else too. Because 20% won't do much, 20% adds $4,000.
Right. So, but, so 20% over 4 or 5 years to what goal? What's your ultimate goal? What are you trying to get us? 40%, 60% again? Like in.
I don't know what the goal is. So what do you want it to go? My recommendation, especially after I looked up ways and stuff like that, at 50-50, 60-40, that was agreed to in 1986, is probably not a bad number. You know, I mean, you can't put value. Here in town, we have a higher population, a higher concentration of buildings. And I want a fire department, and I hope I want a fire department to be able to respond to a fire at my house. And I don't mind paying taxes for it, and I hope I never call. Okay? We did, the rural area, of course, was spread out more, we covered more acres. Of course, you know, hopefully for the most part here, the fires in town here are a building or 2 or 3. Heaven forbid you get a downtown fire, you may have had one that. Have you ever had a grain elevator fire here?
No, not great elevator fire.
Okay.
We had called it there. but not
Yeah, but you know, I've seen those already. But the rural area, you got large areas, and of course, the fire there could be anything from a building to hundreds of acres.
Yeah.
Again, hope not.
On both.
Yeah,
So,
them both, yeah. I don't
my,
know what the magic number is there.
my concern with throwing percentages around is you say, you're talking about 50-50, 60-40, 40-60, however you do that. The problem with doing that is if we wanted at 40-60, the city could reduce our numbers to 1986, and guess what? We're back to 40-60. It's not realistic because we're slashing the budget. But if we say 50-50, let's just say, no, let's say 50-50. And they raise their mills and they raise and they get there, and then the city raises our amount, it's not 50-50. Because we raised our amount and now they have to raise theirs. I hesitate to say, let's make a percentage. I think the city needs to decide what's the dollar amount that we're
I don't
comfortable
disagree.
with.
But
And
I,
then kind
it
of
was
work
just-
towards
that
that.
was asking that meeting, so
Yeah.
what do you think it would, and I keep,
Yeah.
I pull that number out, but when I went back and looked at traditional data. And as I look at other places around, I'm not sure if that's a bad number. Now, the question would be and you made the point last time is, if they're gonna pay more, should they have more say? That's where the district like voice it really comes in place, because everybody has a share. But I do not want it again, my time here is quite short, but I do not want the fire chief to be in a position where fire chief has one boss. And that should be the city here. And as long as the vehicles say city on the side and we're paying a lion's share of the cost, the city, because you do not want everybody else saying, well, chief, you need to do this and do this.
Oh, I agree.
That's horrible. I mean, it'd be a horrible situation. We're the contracting agency there. And, nobody says anything bad about the fire department. They got the best fire department in probably multiple counties. I have no doubt of that. The concern I got, and like I said, I tried to tie different things, do the mill levy. The mill levy actually makes sense. Do we shoot for like and I actually threw in Geary County in there because that's where I just came from. And they have a rural fire district though. There's a city, 2 cities have fire districts, have fire departments, and the rest of the county in their city is not. And they're paying 5 or so mills right now. So maybe to shoot for 4 or 5 mills by fair. There are 2 mills over Wilson. I did not extrapolate the mill levy paid down there, but you gotta realize that Green Guard with the higher valuation is paying 15,000 a year, whereas Blackie Valley is paying the same and their valuation's not as high. And then there's an argument you do by valuation is like, well, this place is richer than that place, so you're subsidized. I get all this, I know what the magic is. I just know that getting 22.5 is not good for the city. What that upper number is, I don't know what it is. It's probably close to 100,000. And if you look at the numbers of that district down there at Holyrood, I'm not far off. Holyrood serves 3 townships, $45,000 come in. I haven't toward their budget of Marquette.
What is the budget for the fire department? What are we,
180.
180,000?
But like I said, we keep the next cost down the road.
And the city
I don't-
taxpayers pay how much of that?
Well, 180, take 180, take 22.5 off, that's
Okay,
155, 160, give or take.
160.
160. So, and we have 20
And all the
mills.
calls aren't even in town, but everybody in town is paying the bill. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, right?
People in town need to pay the bill.
I agree.
It's what share they need to pay.
Right.
Yes, well, all the runs are out of town. I mean, most of the runs aren't even in the city, correct?
And that's just, come on, I give you 13 months.
People need to understand
Yeah.
that we're not trying to do it, we're trying to make it fair to everybody in this town, not people who live out by interstate, and we're taking care of all those crashes.
The one thing that
We're paying.
the one thing that came out of our first meeting townships was, they said, well, you have a better ISO rating. Okay. Some of the things that contribute to your ISO rating have nothing to do with the fire budget. One of it has to do with water lines, paid out of your water budget. Fire hydrants, paid out of your water budget. Pumping ability, paid out of your water budget. So those are not tax pieces. If you have a fire here in town that's mega, I'm sure, and I have been through, I've been to other towns where water plant goes on total alert for fire. And I've had those where, even tell people to don't water right now because we gotta push every single gallon to a major fire. And you build your water lines to do that and everything else. Trust me, if we had some major, that we try to give water to, Of course, we have, like with the prison, we have a water tank tower. That's at least gives some initial gallons right away with some pressures. Right, and again, it varies. I don't know what the magic number is. Hopefully they'll come back with some proposals. The ideal thing is just, okay, townships, you need to multiply times 5. Okay, I don't feel good about that either, because even though they've reaped the benefits of the city that raise rates, the city did not do well by not raising rates. And trust me, I've been in other committees where, want to raise rates. And we do it all the time with electric rates, water rates, sewer rates. We sit there and go, oh, they're fine. And we don't actually get into the weeds and look at costs until your taxes go to 80 mils like they are here. And you're using all that amount for that. Yet you as a city need money for your department, maybe for street or whatever. And the city, they went, well, the township said, well, the city's broke. No, cities can't go broke. You just raise taxes more. But the bottom line is we gotta find a way. And hopefully with it, I just want to share some of this tonight because that way if you hear what I've shared, you know also. So I got. Good, that was too much for the skate.
Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Discussion of zoning regulations in non-conforming lots.
We had zoning and the couple, talked about it in April and I missed the meeting because I'm trying to be in, other stuff. I don't know what the magic is, we've had the same zoning regulations in place for 47 years. The question, of course, is what happens when you have a small lot where a house maybe sitting on 3,000 square feet now and you whatever you feel bad. You allow those. My only concern is anytime you start making exceptions for anything, what do you accept next? I mean, that's just my own zoning background and everything else. I told a story in my packet about after the tornado, we had a mobile home that got lifted up and slammed back down. We're doing a mobile home. And mobile homes that are zoning there are not allowed in residential. So that in mobile home park, but not in residential. And of course, if we'd allowed that one, you'd have to allow anybody to have one. In grandfather close, if you want to put anything in place, you try to have something that has to happen within a few months or a year or something like that after the other one's taken out. Because I hate to see people going back. We had that one case where you're basically talking 2 lots that are 775 together are 7,500 square feet, give or take. Yet they want to build 2 houses back because there was 2 there, and I get some of that, but when do you start changing your community? Because the rest of town has to live by the 6,000. And meanwhile, we had that situation out there in Cameron where everybody had those worries and, I don't know what the magic is. And find the word that you could use. Somebody said, well, just do a variance on them. I would argue that the variance would hold water because, my advice is never make a rule that doesn't apply to everybody. Because when you start making exceptions for you, or for you, or for you, do I make it for you and you also, And I think that's what you have to watch with those things. I don't know what to do, but to do it, we have to come up with an idea. Run it back to the planning commission, they'd have a public hearing, they'd bring a recommendation back here then. I've thought about different ways and talked to their managers, and the code has said 6,000 square feet for at least 40 years. Is that right? I don't know. I get all the arguments about the lots and everything else, the small lots. I'm more concerned about the guy that has a 4,000 square foot lot now and loses his house. And he has another option but to leave.
And I think that was our concern from the get-go, is that.
It was.
Except the other one I have is a guy now owns 2 lots with 2 houses. But he bought them as development property,
So that is an anomaly, right? How
Right.
often can you buy 2 lots next to each other that are both under 6,000 feet in this town, right? It's not gonna happen, right? I mean, we just happen to have that happen in the moment that we're talking about this. Third is, somebody else, under 6,000 feet, right? Like you just said, somebody 4,000 foot lot, that was our original worry, was take
And I get
another
it.
house.
I don't know how to fix it.
How do we not just say, within, if you lose a house on a lot that size, like you just said, in the last year, your grandfather didn't, you can build back the same footprint.
I would never say grandfather, I would put it in your code, yeah.
Whatever you and the lawyer decides the legal term, right? I'm not a lawyer, so
Yeah, you could do it. If you go through a hearing, I think you could do it. There's no master zoning God that
Right.
says you can't do that. Because we could develop a small house district. Like they have in some cities in other states, where you're allowed to have a 300 square foot house.
But again, I'm not looking to create new rules. I'm just worried about, we have people with lots. That if they lose their home, they can't rebuild to what they have. That's my only thing. I'm not worried about making a small house district or making it anything, recreating the wheel or making.
I get that.
Communities.
Heaven forbid you ever get a tornado, but I know after going through a tornado, nobody wanted small lots anymore. They tried to buy the neighbors they could because they had to, if they really build back, it's like, it's our chance now to build our home, that's what a lot of them said. And so we want to build a larger home, we want to put a double car garage,
And again, I understand what happened in Northampton, but
Yeah.
again, that is a once in a generation event. And you can't you can't make all of your plans with the anticipation that some, natural disaster is gonna wipe the slate clean and we can start over.
But if it does happen, you're gonna have to allow, if I'm allowed to have a lot of 4,000 foot now. And a fire or a tornado blows away, and even the tornado may blow half the town, I can still build a 4,000, I think you'd have to keep. You gotta put that, so,
But why would
Yeah.
that be a big deal?
Yeah,
no. They wouldn't do it probably because they have a chance to buy their lots.
but if they wanted to, and they own their lot, and they
Yeah.
had that house, why would we stand in the way of them rebuilding what they had?
The situation we got
Yeah.
a lot of around here now is that people have went to sheriff sales and bought these
Right.
condemned or taxed properties with the idea that they would tear them down and then rebuild something, either to sell it as a residence or to rent it out.
Most of those are large enough, except
Most, but not all.
But not all
a
of them.
high percent are large enough, because there's very few lots in this town that are 6,000.
Well, are you getting more money out of an empty lot or
Yeah.
something on,
Or a house that sits empty because they don't wanna tear it down, because they can't build back.
short on that?
Oh, you always get more appraised value with a building on it. But is that where but you also get more appraised value on a building larger lot too.
Why don't we let the planning commission
Okay. Make a very.
take a look at this and
I'm good with it.
see if they can come up with some sort of plan
Yeah,
that will be equitable. And then we can take a look at it at least. and-
just
Figure out.
don't get something that you can't manage. And even though you feel sorry for people, I get that, but you have to allow. Yeah. There's some tough words, but I'm not sure where you're at either, so I'll set it that way.
Check.
All right, new business. Discussion of the tax increment financing district, the TIF.
Well, this is even more funner. Madam Mayor, and council members. Back in 2011, the TIF district was formed basically in the area where First Kansas Bank is. First Bank is. I put them both in cities. And they did the TIF there. In a TIF district, basically, all the taxing entities, so if the lot was worth, let's say it was worth $10,000. So the amount of taxes on that lot for $10,000 stayed the same. But any increment growth in valuation went to the city's TIF fund. And that included city taxes, school taxes, the little Putz Township we have, county taxes, extension district now, I think that's all our taxing entities probably went there. Of course, it's been successful. We've had businesses grow, buildings grow, creating taxes, but they're not going to the general funds of these entities. They're only going to the city's TIF fund. Okay. When I get my house up there, it'd be the same way for the TIF. People, taxpayers pay the same amount. So if you live outside the TIF district and your house is worth this, the people inside the TIF district pay the same taxes. Is where the taxes go.
So
So now you're up to, now what's happened though is this growth. And as valuations have increased also. We now have almost $1.6 million in the bank. And the district got changed a couple of times with, I believe, Carico and then Rolling Hills, yeah. The city added them to TIF districts. We have about $1.6 million. We're going to get another tax distribution here from the May 10th tax, probably in the next couple of weeks. So we're gonna give more. The only outstanding debt is $600,000. The first thing we need to do in recognition is we pay off the 600,000. You can pay off any time because that was not a normal bond. All the finance was bought by the bank. So we can pay it off anytime and you stop the interest rate. And this, I think last we paid $30,000 in interest, so why not stop that, okay? I am recommending, and I've talked to Kevin Cowan, and he'll be here at the June 22nd meeting. Basically talking about ordinance in place to quit the tax flowing into the TIF district, and then the money would go back to the initial entities, county, city, you know, and I read a number, it's about $250,000 between all the entities. That goes back to the general funds. If we're going to do it, Kim and I've had this discussion, we need to probably do this now. Because, and the discussion of property taxes last spring of the state is they wouldn't count that as, they wouldn't count it as new growth and their tax lids and everything else, but you know. So that's a thought there. That's still gonna leave basically $1 million left over. We have 5 years to spend it. It has to be spent in that district. There maybe it's a project we can think of, and I think the wise move is to think about that. But it makes no sense in my mind, I think Kevin's mind here, to continue putting that money there. So today it's $1.7 million and we pay off the 600,000, you have basically $1 million left. But then continue to add another $250,000 to it every year for the next 5 years. Where unless you had something really blowing, you know, project. And you can set a map, and we can have discussion down the road about different things, but Kevin will be here at the June 22nd meeting and have proposals to end the taxing district. You know, and to pay off the loan.
Yeah.
It did everything it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it actually worked.
It worked well.
Good.
And it probably should have been caught sooner. I caught it in the last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next tech proposal for license renewal.
Madam Mayor, Council, of course, you've put there, some next steps, we were here a few weeks ago. We have some more license to review, and so that's their proposal.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the agreement. It's the next tech for firewalls at the golf course, water department, rec department, and fire department at the cost of $5,473.44 for 3-year licenses.
Well, second. He got it.
Okay,
Well, that,
all right. It's been moved by Council President Hanson, seconded by Councilmember Moon to approve the agreements to Next Tech for firewalls at the golf course, water department, recreation department, and fire department at a cost of $5,473.44 for 3-year licenses. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion passed. The chip seal project.
Madam Mayor and council members, every year, street department does some chip seal. 2/3 of the packet, we recommend, you know, the bid from, the company we have.
Vance Brothers.
Vance Brothers. Them are one of the predecessor firms that have done it for a number of years. We also have a little company where we get the rock from and the hauling and we have budget money, but this is actually money paid for out of our fuel tax money. Fuel tax money.
Have we ever had any problems with that company before?
No.
Okay.
None. And they've been forever, I think. Long time, yeah.
Right. Well, Madam Mayor, I move to approve the following actions, 126 chip seal project. One, approve the bid for Vance Brothers at $49,929.39. 2, approve the purchase of the rock from Venture Aggregates for $11,700. And 3, approve the hauling of the rock by White Construction for $4,200.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Allen, seconded by Council President Hansen, to approve the following actions for the 2026 chip seal project. Approve the bid from Vance Brothers for $49,929.39. The purchase of the rock from Venture Aggregates for $11,700. And approve the hauling of the rock by White Construction for $4,200. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Designating city connecting links in state highway system.
Madam Mayor, we have state highways that come through our city. And there's two kinds of connecting links. There's one like Highway 156 east side of town. That's a connecting link, but we've received no funding, just ADOT taking care of all the maintenance, everything else. We however have other routes like K-14, or K-140, that are inside the city where we do the maintenance, and receive reimbursement from KDOT. Up until probably 7 or 8 years ago, it was $2,000 lane mile, it's going to $5,000 lane mile. Last summer, they recalculated and increased the amount of lane miles we had a little bit. However, they now noticed that they were off a little bit, and so they proposed to change it. We're gonna increase our annual share by about this much money. I mean, it's pennies, but you know, we still expect to be caught within, so. The connect links are great, the 5,000 lane mile has really helped a little bit, so. We get quarterly payments, so not a big deal, but it's just make everything straight here.
Madam Mayor, I recommend approving the new agreement.
Oh.
Is that right?
Oh.
Oh, sorry. I move to approve the resolution designating city connecting links in the state highway system within the city of Ellsworth with the Kansas Department of Transportation.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Council President Hansen, seconded by Councilmember Renard, to approve the resolution designating city connecting links in the state highway system within the city of Ellsworth with the Kansas Department of Transportation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. 2026 curb and gutter improvement project.
Madam Mayor, Council, in 2021, the city initiated a stormwater utility. Put in place every whatever year, $3 a month. And since that time, you've used that money to repair curb and gutter with stormwater. I think down the road, you need to have a discussion about stormwater, because the ordinance, in my mind, has a lot of holes in it. Plus, you always make an argument that why should you pay the same for stormwater as a big parking lot? Because yours goes in the ground, theirs goes swamps. That's for their data. So we've used the money for the last few years to do curb gutter repair. Last year, the council approved that we allowed up to $50,000 to be used at the streets foreman's and the city administrator, in this case, or a real one happens to do the curb gutter repair and the work with Kyler's. Those projects, does a great job. Those projects are not always in pieces. Troy has tried to work with people that, hey, I want to replace my driveway because it's giant. So they pay for the driveway part, we pay for the curb and gutter part. I think it's a great partnership with everybody else. We don't pay to fix their driveway, but they pay to fix their driveway, and we use that. And last year it worked out well. We just said, don't spend more than $50,000, and it worked well. A lot of the projects got that. A lot of that curb and gutter work is done anyway right now with Kyler's in pieces, and I think that works well for everybody. So I'd recommend the same program this year.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the 2026 curb and gutter project in amount not to exceed $50,000 with funding from the Stormwater Utility Fund with Kyler and Son of Kannapolis, Kansas, and waive requirements for bidding. Project will be chosen by the street department and approved by the interim city administrator or city administrator.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Allen, seconded by Councilmember Moon, to approve the 2026 curb and gutter project in an amount not to exceed $50,000 with funding from the Stormwater Utility Fund with Kyler and Son of Kannapolis, Kansas, and waive requirements for bidding. projects will be chosen by the street department and approved by interim city administrator or city administrator. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion passed. Okay, consideration to construct a dog.
Madam Mayor and council members, coming up, excuse me, we had the request of do dog park. And so they have got here some estimates, you know, they had a fence estimate of what, 14,400, and then, you know, possibly, you know, water fountain there for $2,000, be some other amenities perhaps, but basically it's funding, but, I agreed to put it on the agenda, so. As they requested.
Well, we're proposing that, we put together a dog.
Excuse me, sir, what's your name? What's your
Travis, I'm Travis Ward. Travis Ward.
Okay.
And, we're proposing a dog. park. I think it'd be good for the community and, also it is the location, I think would work for, people passing through, stuff like that. And, so bring more business to the area that are around the Pizza Hut in that area. The main thing is the land, and then we're working on, you know, if it passes, then we could work on funding, you know, finding some funding for it, so. That's kind of where we're at on it, you know, we've got some estimates and stuff put together to give it an idea, but, we're just kind of waiting on your guys' input on it.
So where would it be on the
It'd be just south of the Pizza Hut.
south of the Pizza Hut and
Yeah,
that?
right there on that, and there, we'd have to make a passageway between the
Daycare center?
daycare center and Finney's.
Well, Ronnie Tinbrick said there was
Yeah.
3, he'd like to put pickleball courts and a gazebo up someday. And he said there was 3 places and I don't know what 3 entrances, but
Yeah, that one best,
we'll let him get off the
City
highway.
already
right off the highway.
Yeah.
It was donated, Glenna donated to the city.
Well,
Like
yeah.
Parks and Rec.
It's like, it's gotta be a park or something, or
Yeah.
Park,
like
cemetery,
cemetery, Or agriculture, or, yeah.
Agriculture. Agriculture, wasn't really doing.
Yeah, sit there in a community garden, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be responsible for keeping that cleaned up?
Well, we don't know. We-
On that,
I-
it is maintenance on regular maintenance is an issue, yeah.
I mean,
We've got a
yes, I thought maybe
park.
the
We have a
prisoners.
triangular park down here at Third and Eighth and there's the bags and signs for this and pick up this, but we have people coming in after dark with their pups and they do not clean anything up and it ends up with the city
Yeah.
people cleaning up dog stuff, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, if it was a dog park, I got a letter here from the guy and that has his and Lions, and he said he's had it for 16 years now, and he's been a council member, and he said he wished the dog park would have been one of their issues, but it never was, they've never had any problems, and people pick up after themselves. I mean, that's just with Cecil Burdette, and we went down and looked at it. He put it on his land and he got free fencing. He gave us ideas where to get things other than what the estimate is. And I talked to Carolyn Graves and somebody else at the prison when they had their play, and they said that the prisoners, it would be something they would maybe do, put the fence up. Actually, she's seen things. It was a good possibility to get them for labor, and the Boy Scouts too, she said, have been looking for projects.
And unfortunately, the city or the crew from the prison works with the city street department.
Mhm.
Well, so,
But-
After the street.
But there might be other crews that could do,
oh,
I mean, I don't.
yeah, I didn't
Find somebody to watch.
Well, yeah, I get that, but I mean, my husband runs part of the detail, so, I mean, he goes to the Legion with
Pretty
crews.
good volunteer.
I'm not volunteering, I'm just saying there's off.
Well, we really don't know, we just.
Yeah, I mean, I think a dog park, I don't have a problem with it. I think the city paying for the dog park right now is not feasible. But I think if you could find grants and
I think so too.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think you would get a lot of business from people because you see them all
Yeah.
over, you know?
Especially up in that area.
Casey's.
By the.
Right.
By.
I mean, I'd rather see people take them to a dog park than walking them at Casey's or, you know, outside of, I think it's a good idea. I just don't,
agree.
you know, I just don't think the city,
We just need to get more
yeah, I mean, maybe we need to look at maybe some grant, you know.
I've had,
recommendations.
people,
Yeah.
more than probably 10 people that have. Well, not out.
We've had interest in it.
A lot of interest, it's just.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I really don't. think
This
it's a bad
came up
idea.
several years ago when we had a strategic doing down at the library. I mean, I was fairly new to extension, so at least probably 6 years ago, and it was of interest then. So I feel like
They
the,
follow through or something, but.
I don't think there was enough people interested at the time. It was just something that came up like pie in the sky kind of dream.
Well, if you guys okay it, I think I would see it got through.
Do you know how much room would be appropriate?
Well, when we went to Lions, it was,
70 by,
no, it was about
oh, that.
150 by
Yeah.
150,
Yeah.
and we looked at it and Delvin, he Bedrock with us too. And they thought 70 by 150 would be, you know, good,
Big enough.
big enough, and you can always add on and. I didn't, was wondering, you know, about the plumbing and, you know, is that something that. Well, I guess if you guys are. I mean, I don't know how much of this money we'll need to try to raise, other than the. 15,000 for the fence, and then you got the water station.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I don't know if the plumbing would be,
If you hook into the city.
or if the
water,
city would be able to help us.
somehow.
75
That's
to
right
150 is a quarter thing.
And I mean,
Mhm.
I was thinking the same thing. What about liability insurance? Like, we have to have more insurance up there. What does that look like?
If they're gonna make it a park someday, or could, figured that. Have to have it.
I'm not sure what would change, I have no idea, maybe we have.
Maybe our current liability insurance isn't enough.
I know we called, the one I've had before, we called it out of the plan, but what the extra cost, it's not that much, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
So it's like our big question today, are we interested in potentially moving forward if we could have a dedicated group of citizens finding some funding for this
Yes.
project?
Yeah, I would be.
Like, would we be willing to like put up the land? But I think then it comes into the water, like the water would be a big part in my mind is, do they need to run another line? Is there a hook up there? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And the maintenance.
Well, and if Ronnie, you know, maybe Ronnie has some kind of figured out where he's gonna want something in the future, maybe there would be a place where he could get a meeting.
He in his mind has a vision, but he said, right, you know, but
Yeah, it'll take.
he might have his, and he said dog park was part of his, his
Oh, yeah.
thoughts. I was just playing pickleball, we were talking about dragons. Turned into that. And this isn't a self-serving one, we don't need a dog park, people bring their dogs out, so. Anyway,
But you travel enough that you've seen dog parks in other areas and seen the.
I stopped when there's a dog park when I had the dogs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess,
Let me throw a thought out for you people here to get, maybe something out there. Request they make a commitment of 15,000, 20,000, 18,000. And if they get that raised and then have for a discussion, but then maybe give a target that you'd be in favor of it if they raise X dollars. I don't know what that number is, I'm
yeah.
spitballing there.
I would be even, I'd say 20, because I mean, the fence is 15.
Yeah.
And I know they said 2,000 for
Yeah.
water, it was gonna be cost overruns,
yeah.
Mhm.
so at 20.
Money would be a good number.
It should be a good place to start.
What would be,
20,000,
If you guys could
raise
raise,
like 20,000.
secured
I was
private
thinking
donations
probably
or
at least 17, so.
Yeah.
17.5, I was trying to,
Yeah,
but.
and I don't know.
I think I could get
Talk to
some
some.
free maybe, or fencing. They don't be went to Texas and got his fencing for free. They showed, a field down and ones and it's real nice. We won't be going to Texas. Okay,
well,
well,
I think we're in favor, but if you guys could
Okay.
either secure somehow some funding for
how much do you
20
need
grand.
secured, like right now?
about 20,000.
Oh, the whole, I mean, we could go ahead and go out and start,
Collecting
Asking-
private donations,
Yeah,
getting grants.
absolutely.
oh, okay.
Once you have like 20,000, I think then we can get kind of serious about what
Okay.
it
Even
looks
if
like.
we,
If you get more, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
okay, even if we get a grant, would the grant be part of that?
Oh,
We get
yeah.
one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
I've never applied for one, so we'll.
You know, we have a grant writing workshop coming up in Russell next week. Shameless plug.
Okay, well, we'll start seeing what we can.
Okay.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Okay, consideration to construct a backstop in the southeast corner of the tennis courts in Friesick Park.
Yeah, well, I gotta walk through some of those, if the council were involved here, so I need to abstain, but, a citizen now, the council member, came last year with a backstop for the tennis court and, to practice on, and I'm not a tennis person, but I know I've seen some tennis courts with and some without. But in the packet was Esposar put together to put a backstop, as the city was paid for it, and again. I think it'll funding.
I think it should be the same as with the dog park. Does Ronnie want that up there?
I can't say that Ronnie, is invested in a backboard. I know that initially I talked with him and his whole process was for me to bring it to the council and see what the council thought. And also talk with, the coaches over at the school, et cetera, et cetera.
And what do they think?
Well,
They kinda-
I've been kind of the lone ranger on this endeavor. And I can appreciate the thought process that perhaps the city would prefer that donations be used to construct that backstop in the same light as the folks that were here talking about having a dog park. You know, so I have no qualms about doing what I can to come up with donations for those individuals that might be willing to donate.
Could the high school, was there a class at the high school that could help construct it? I mean, I don't know what it,
Well, I've already done the legwork for the construction of it and the cost of the wood and the paint. And I think it comes up to like, maybe $2,200. So again, that's not a lot of donated money, but it is some. The permit to build it, once the donations came through, would there need to be a permit?
No, it's just, I recommend no, because city property, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
So there would need to be,
no.
No,
oh,
on city property.
That just makes sense.
Yeah,
but I would like to do this. Dear Ellsworth, Department of Recreation, I am writing to highlight the numerous benefits of tennis and propose the addition of the 2 tennis backboards in our community. I did reach out to the high school. The high school doesn't even have a backboard for their persons. However, I was informed that because of warranty on the fencing, they wouldn't be able to erect anything until after the warranty on the fencing subsided. As many may know, tennis is celebrated as one of the healthiest sports, and with studies showing it can add nearly a decade to one's life. Beyond longevity, tennis enhances hand-eye coordination, lowers the resting heart rate and blood pressure, and also a myriad of other health benefits. One common misconception is that tennis requires two players. However, practice against a backboard allows individuals to play solo, honing in their skills while enjoying the game. Tennis backboards are individual and invaluable tools for stroke production, ball tracking, and developing concentration and confidence. Also, pickleball players use backboards. They also provide an excellent cardio workout as players can engage with a consistent target. We can significantly enhance our recreational offerings by introducing tennis backboards in the Ellsworth community. We've got two young men that are going to state because of their tennis skills as well. And that was in newspaper, I think it was this week or no, last week. Newspaper.
And you did have a girls' state championship team last fall with two individuals, winning first in team.
They didn't have a backboard.
Yeah.
Right.
And again,
There
I
you go.
don't know.
I don't really need it.
I mean,
They're already state champs, they didn't have one.
so. I mean, there was one in Russell when I was growing up, I used it all the time, it's great to have, I think it's just like the dog park, if some, if we can get the money. to do something
Yeah,
outside,
I don't care either way.
I know, Tyler, you don't play tennis, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, if you get the money, they don't care, do
Sounds good.
I have no problem with that.
Recommendations.
Okay.
Thanks, I think our collective directive is to find donations and
Yes.
come back to us when you have $2,500.
Okay.
Okay. Discuss process to fill the position. Okay, yes, of city administrator. Sorry, I thought I got ahead of myself.
Madam Mayor and Council, of course, you know, you directed me to lead the search and for that position. I think we have 9 or 10 applicants as of this afternoon, double check that one person actually applied twice. I'm assuming we'll have more this week. The date, the way the ad was written is review will start June 1. It won't be folks left where it's making a late one. And they were laughing when people apply right there. I go, I never applied for a job until the last day, and there's a reason why I did. The first time was by accident, and after that, I feel it was good luck. And so, you don't know. Of course, this is a big position that the council as a whole will hire, council mayor will hire. A normal consultant, if you hired an outside consultant, they would probably narrow it down themselves, give you all the name, but say, here's the 3 to 7 you need to look at. And I had a discussion with the mayor this afternoon. I would, this is my suggestion as, and I was the airman that has to lead this discussion. I would like maybe the mayor and 2 council members, narrow it down to like 4 or 5, then bring it to a meeting to discuss those in executive session, and then set up interviews at that point in time. That'll work out a little better from some transparency, you know, some open meeting stuff. So my recommendation is to form a committee of 3, the mayor, and I'd say the council president, council member, to narrow the process down a little bit. Hopefully you may have to look at them all, but and right now there's some members that I think would make decent candidates for you. There's other ones that I'm not sure. And then, like I said, a normal consultant would take a second anyhow. Just keep things moving here. That way, you know, the other option is to have a special meeting sometime in the near future. Throw them all on the table and you guys sort through them, but I don't know if you want to do that or not, you know. It's your process, it's not mine. I'm facilitating it because, you know, you're hired to be administrator.
I like your idea about the 3, and I'd nominate Russell Allen to be one of those people on that board.
I think he'd be great.
I'm out for the summer. I got nothing to do.
It'll fill your schedule.
I think we should look at all of them, maybe pare it down. I don't think we should throw 9 or 10 out for the whole, I mean, that's just too many.
Okay,
I agree.
I'll make a motion to name those 3 people
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion
as your
to appoint
committee.
Russ Allen and the city council president and the mayor to be on the committee to review the applicants for city administrator. The city administrator.
I second them.
It's been moved by Councilmember Renard, second by Councilmember Bishop to create a review committee for city administrator applicants to consist of the mayor, council president Hanson, and Councilmember Allen. Is that it? Yeah. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passed. Mayoral appointment, so I had one last, I was waiting on one position to be filled, and she emailed me and said she'd be interested in being on the Tourism and Convention Committee. Her name is Brianne Sema, right? Did I say that right? Okay.
Good.
Do we need to wait for Darcy to get back? Do we need to ask someone to recuse himself, or does it matter?
Who has reviewed it?
It's my girlfriend.
So.
I mean, I guess. we could
I don't-
pass it with the-
Good.
I mean, there's no monetary value to anything, so.
Unless the procedure would say differently, I have no problem with it because you are not getting any financial gain.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll recuse myself.
I think I'm hearing everything from back there. I think I pretty much about the.
The mayor wants to appoint a councilman to
Girlfriend, yeah.
girlfriend.
The mayor's making the appointments though, and then it's gotta be approved by a majority of council, so, and I think what I heard it as well is this is a volunteer position, there's no, revenue that's being brought in because of it, so I don't see an issue with that. If the council's aware of it and the council's uncomfortable with it, they can vote to not approve the, appointment,
But does he have to say, I don't think he needs to?
I don't think, I don't think.
Because you're not doing anything.
I don't think he needs to recuse himself. He's made everyone aware of it. Again, there's no financial gain or no positionary gain that he's receiving from this, or, you know, with his girlfriend's having the opportunity to be on a committee, but if there's an issue, the appointments could change in the future, so it's a pretty flexible thing.
Well, then, Madam Mayor, I will move to approve the mayor's appointment of, is it Brianne?
Yes.
Brianne
Simon.
Sema, to the Tourism and Convention Committee for a 2-year term.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councilmember Moon, second by Councilmember Renard to approve my appointment of Brianne Sema to the Tourism and Convention Committee for a 2-year term. Any discussion? Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, department heads. Whoever wants to start, I don't care. We approve that, just FYI.
So, were you able to give them a copy of that I forwarded you from the fire marshal's office? Okay, so, basically, what my question is, or does this kind of make you aware or whatnot, many of you are aware of the very large fire that was down in southwest Kansas. And so for about a little over a year and a half now, through the fire marshal's office in Kansas, they have been, it's actually been a little longer, they've been pushing this, trying to get what they're calling task force teams and or major mutual aid contracts in place that in the events of these, that they can bring in resources from considerable distance away. And so there is, I am aware of these, I visited with one of the fire marshals here about 3 months ago. What it basically it boils down to is, with the council's approval, is that as the fire chief, I would sign an intent with an agreement with the fire marshal's office. And what that would entail is that if there's ever a need for that, they send out a request. And they would say, what resources do you have? And we would respond accordingly to what it is. It's not a commitment that you have to. It's if you're available that you could go. In that contract, then there are guidelines about what is required as far as certain trainings that are mandated, certain insurances that, like, for example, the trucks have to have liability, communications and whatnot is there. And so I had looked over that, and in our current situation, I had actually thought about postponing that until 27, until we had our other tanker bill, with the idea that, hey, we could send a squad in a tanker, and I never really brought it up too much. And just kind of left it out there. When this fire went down, the fire marshal sent out requests for who could respond. So I had, as a matter of fact, they actually started calling because that thing exploded. So I had a conversation with the fire marshal, and I said, well, I haven't actually filled out my paperwork. And he was like, we don't care. We need help, which I thought was interesting. We can do it afterwards. So I had talked with Alan, and said, hey, what are your feelings on this and mutual aid? And so I had begun to go ahead and put some stuff together. Now, there's a caveat that the fire marshal's office is offering, and that is the contract is they are paying for trucks and personnel. And so when this goes down, if and when it goes down again, the average deployment is 48 to 54 hours. In that 48 or 54 hours, you would send what we could. So from my perspective, we would send a water tender. We have one of our, it's an over the highway tractor that has water, and one of our squads, which would be our 4x4, and 4 guys. What they do is we are responsible. We have to fill out the paperwork. They give us a tasking number that they know that we're going to go. Once you've got a tasking number, the time that you leave the station till you get back in that contract is they pay. Basically, it's in the area of $190 to $195 an hour per truck and personnel. So you plot that over a 48 to 54 hour deployment, it's $9,000 to $9,500. That's kind of the carrot that the fire marshal's office is offering in order to try to get some people to come in, because obviously it's expensive and time consuming. Then out of that, most of the departments that I'm aware of are then paying the guys that go. Most of them have decided to do like $20 an hour, and to pay those guys that go, so that if they take off from work that they can go. There are some requirements that are in that is so the contract goes from the time you leave the station till you get back, but once you arrive on scene, you can only work a certain number of hours, and I can't remember, it's 12, 14, or 16. After that, there's a mandatory 8-hour layover. The fire marshals then are making arrangements for motels. So like the fire down at Ashland, I talked to some of the guys that went, I think they rented about every motel at the casinos in Dodge City, but they sent the guys back to Dodge City. You're off the clock. You're not off the clock. You have to rest for 8 hours, but you're still on the clock. Then you can go back, and you don't know when you go down whether you're going to be on an active line, if you're going to be a support role, if you're going to be staging and protection for structures. It's just that you have resources that you can send. And if you can send enough as a task force, we could work as our own. And I worked on that with some of the others that were around that will chase us a little bit more, where we could have sent a task force, and then myself or one of our officers would have been in charge of that task force. So our trucks, our crews, whether it be us in Ellsworth County or Russell County or Rice County, that are familiar with one another, would stay as a team. But basically what I'm bringing to you is basically the request is, are you okay with me signing a contract like that with the fire marshal's office that says if something like that develops, we would be willing to provide equipment. It's very similar to other mutual aids. If something happens, that's on you. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know of one truck that was burned up. I know of another one that got wrecked. But they also had 200 and some fire crews down there. And so there was a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunications and whatnot. And there were some in the area that were able to respond, but I was hesitant because I didn't have the paperwork in place. I hadn't brought it to you. I had visited with Alan, and he's like, go ahead. So we had worked on it. We actually had staged the crew. I was in contact with the fire marshal's office, And when we were ready to deploy, I called one last time for a tasking number, government work, and he's like, well, I think we have enough on the road, why don't you hold? Okay, well, we'll ask in 24 hours. Well, that would have been Sunday morning in graduation, so I booted ours back till Monday. And they did have other stuff, you know, that continued in for another week, but not quite this. They didn't respond to us. Matter of fact, they had asked for a dozer. We worked on that and then they didn't respond to it. So what I guess I'm basically asking you is this, is in a nutshell, it's coordinated by the fire marshal's office. We have the training and requirements that it would be. We have the liabilities that's there. You know, there's a question about, you want to put more insurance on trucks that might go farther. That's another question. We're responsible for our fuel and the guys' food. Now down there, they did feed them. They pay for lodging in motels. Once if we sign that and if they send it out and say we need help and we say our fire conditions, we can't go, I say no. That's the end of it. If they say yes, we can, then they'll send out and say, we need this and how long before you can deploy. And kind of the window on that I told them was 2 hours. We would have made that had we actually went in that 2 hour window. But basically my request is this, if I sign that, are you okay with that? And I want to make you aware of that, because like I say, in that case there, going to Ashland, that was, I forget how many miles, but it's, you know, it's 3 hours away. But the idea with the fire marshal's office is it's only within the state of Kansas. There are other task forces that are out there that are forestry that go outside of state. There are task force outside of FEMA that go to multiple states. This is the fire marshal's office of Kansas. It's only responding in Kansas. So I guess my question is I would like to go ahead and at least sign off and say we're there. I don't see it happening a lot. And like I say, the other caveat is, I'll be quite honest with you, a lot of the career departments are looking at that and are building trucks because they see a gravy train, bottom line. They're building trucks and saying, we'll send 5 trucks. And we've got guys that will call in our second crew. We'll send them down. We'll pay them the overtime. They'll get their money and the government's gonna write us a check for, you know, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. I don't want to view mutual aid that way, but they are making it like this is a major commitment with a lot of stuff that's a lot of ways out. So they are paying, and there's a pay scale. It's already predetermined. Before they were saying, and another thing that misunderstood is a lot of people like, well, let's just go. And they were adamant about, and I get this, and some people don't, but it's like, just don't show up. We need to know who's coming. And that's why there's a tasking number that's given, so they know who's coming with what kind of equipment, so they can stage it out. So that's really basically my question on that is, are you okay with that? And Alan probably has a couple of questions that I need to probably answer.
Let me, and I'm all about mutual aid. You know, again, my tornado time. And I always say, we'll send people that hope they never have to return the favor. That's my role. Ralph had the idea last week. I'd like to have his city attorney look at it as well a little bit. My thought on paying the employees, since we really have employees, would be they'd be 1099, which is right up, you know, $20, 1099. But before we said anything, let me grant all that. I'll put that agenda next time. But it was good to talk about it. Like, I think it's a wonderful idea, and hopefully they never have to show up here.
Right.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you'll have the city attorney take a look at it.
Yeah, I want to look at
And
it.
so you guys can then look at it.
I have some admin questions I need
Okay.
to think about as far as money and things like that, you know.
Okay, any other questions?
I had 2, one was, your team of fellow firefighters, are they aware of all this too, and they're have a positive attitude?
Yes,
about your-
yes, very much so. Matter of fact, I'll be bluntly honest, there's a lot of guys that were disappointed that we didn't go. And there again, there was not a lot of information because I was busy with the fire marshal's office and some of this hadn't been presented, but it's like, well, let's just go. And it's like, brakes on, and that's not quite how this works. And something like this, because what happens is you get hundreds of responders. And if you don't have the way to filter and to know what's coming in there, you will end up with a complete logjam.
Okay.
So,
And then you said something to the effect that if something happens to your vehicle or something.
so
happens-
that would be similar to that'd be similar to the mutual aid contracts. If you respond to one and like the one that happened, I don't know all the details. I don't know if they got hung up or if they had mechanical, I think they had mechanical problems. They got overrun, they had to abandon the truck and they burned it up and they lost it. That's just a bad day. It's on them. They can't come back and say, hey, we lost a truck working for you. It's just like, that's part of what is there. No, that's not what you want.
Yeah, that was my follow-up from Mr. Dingle, if there's anything.
I'm just, I mean, you know, and I have sent staff before on, not here, but on fire, and of course, mutual aid on the FEMA side for disasters. You know, it has its own network, you know. I'm all for it, but I want to be, let Paul look at it and Cesar look at it. And I want to make sure I got all the admin questions in my mind too, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Dave, you got anything for us? I'm calling you next.
She called it. We had, he's been coming in today and inspected the most tower at DCF. It's just, you know, it's always just drop in and inspect them. They said, you know, all needs to be cleaned, it's just down the road. So it's just an inspection. That's why I'm late tonight, so, but other than that, they took pictures of everything. And, they thought everything looked really good, right? So, that's it.
That's a good thing.
Thank you. Chief Murphy, what you got for us?
Just be like, I'm responsible for your phone.
Well, we got notified of a complaint this morning. That we're being seen too much.
That's serious. That's serious.
That's because they haven't seen anybody for a while.
This is true.
I made the complaint.
Yes, basically, he advised me that we're seeing way too much now and
I had to slow down and get
that
down.
they're wanting us to go back to hibernation and
Scott, can you take us a couple of
Two
numbers up in yours?
Our individuals in the FTO is progressing very well. In fact, starting tomorrow, he'll be out on his own, being shadowed. So my hours will change again, where I'll be shadowing him. Because he's going into it like a 2 to 2 shift. So my hours will be varying again. So some staff meetings I won't be attending. Yeah, he's doing very well, progressing very well. Jeff Waggles, I'm very pleased with his progression. So, which we all know Captain Waggle, he is
Particular.
very particular. So for him to give a good prognosis on somebody that says a lot, so fast. So we're looking forward to having him get out his own and then we'll be completely fully staffed, and then once we get our officer off the injured list and your position will be full. All right,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Casper?
Nothing, Madam Mayor.
Ms. Blanding? Mr. Dingle? What you got?
Ron reached out to me this morning, Ron, Tim Brandon. Get the pool open, but we're having some mechanical problems and we're gonna have some costs. They already had, don't get me. I also was told last night, one of our lights, because it was sparked last night, so. Get it checked into, just got some costs coming out there. I just get some numbers, we'll work with it. I don't know how many of you went to the floodplain thing last week, I sent a report to you. The floodplain is not, I mean, it'll probably be at least 2 years. We did make a suggestion to take a look at downtown again. Of course, the Facebook took off on there from the ponds up north, everything else, just, it is what it is. The city does not require floodplain insurance. It's your lender that does. So it's not, the city doesn't say you live there, and I know a couple people that have said, once they got their lien paid off, they drop floodplain insurance, because, but that's their choice. City does not make it a choice if it's snowmobile out there, the city your lender may make you. And that's the difference there, of course. CDBG funds for rehab and demo, I think there's still, we have more money left, so apply, and of course, there is some restrictions on those, and I get all that, but, if you need some money for those reasons, and there is no limit on the tear downs. There's no financial, I mean, if you make 100,000 a year, you can get money to tear a house down. The income limitations came in on the rehabs. And unfortunately, we have one person that applied that they just lowered the level down and they dropped out. Nobody can do anything about it, it's just the way life is. Mentioned real quickly, Cumberland 156, that project there. Talking to the engineer last week, it should start in August. KDOT now, a lot of the projects are given wide windows to get started. I think they're better like getting bids and everything else, better bids. So that project won't start probably until August. And that's all I have for now.
All right. Councilmember Renard,
I don't have anything.
Council President Hanson, Councilmember Bishop. Councilmember Moon.
Madam Mayor, I just want to state that the letter that I read was written to me in support from Amy Matthew, and she's the Kansas Executive Director of the United States Tennis Association.
Anything else? Councilmember Allen.
Two quick things. One, I had two people call me this week, in regard to our retention ponds, where we're calling up here at 140 and 14. Concerned that, so there's a noxious weed, Phragmites. I think it may even be considered, I know it's an invasive species, maybe also a noxious weed, that there's a lot growing down there. The state is, in the last few years, has been very aggressive about trying to control that. And they saw that there's a bunch growing down there and there's concern. I don't know what department would be responsible. It's PHRA.
I'll check county.
Yeah,
Next
I
week.
don't know if it's county or who would, but there's some. But especially out at the lakes and rivers, because it's a water-based plant, it's called Phragmites. And I spent a few summers ago, spent the whole summer spraying it. It's up there with that, so, but there's some growing down there. And
Okay.
there's some concern.
No, Dustin had talked to Craig about it before.
Okay.
Yeah, so it may already be in handle. I just
I'll
had a
start
couple
with
people
Greg.
ask and I
No, go
didn't,
to,
I said I didn't know.
and maybe we'll just get the county clean department to address it.
And then the other one's just a shameless plug. I may be stealing some thunder, but Rhythm and Reels is this weekend. Friday night, the fire department is doing smash burgers, so come out and have,
What time?
We're meeting.
It's about 6, we'll beat you.
Okay, yeah, be there at 6.
Everyone come at 6.
So the meeting is started 3 minutes ago to decide, and so it's a little late for the meeting to decide what's hot, but 6 o'clock is a good time to come out and have that.
Finish Friday.
We'll probably start cooking a little sooner, but 6 o'clock.
Probably nice and fun viewing.
That's all I have.
Okay. Well, I mentioned it before, but putting on my extension hat, we have extended our deadline for a grant writing workshop. We're hosting it in Russell, but it's open to anybody that is interested in grant writing. And if you're a member of Ellsworth County, they have agreed to pay for the full $40 registration for, I think, the first 5 people, so. Email me tomorrow for more information. Okay, who wants to take us into executive session?
Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we move into. I move to go into executive session for preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property related to sewer improvements project pursuant to ASA 754319B6, and to include the mayor, city council, city attorney, interim and city administrator, and Mr. Sean Peterson of the Wildlife Properties Land Company LLC, for 15 minutes, beginning at
7:05.
7:05
And ending at?
and ending at
7:20.
7:20.
We'll second that.
The move by Councilmember Moon, second by Councilmember Allen to take us into executive session for a preliminary discussion of acquisition of real property. Will include mayor, city council, city attorney, interim city administrator, and Sean Peterson of Wildlife Properties Land Company LLC for 15 minutes, beginning at 7:05 and ending at 7:20. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. So much.
I didn't know, kids probably should have just responded on the ones on the next. You said it was all good, I was like, I didn't see the issue with it, but I was like, well, what?